Okay, this is going to start session number 14, Creation, Science, and Scripture. I want to introduce you to a man named Hugh Ross, brilliant man, an instructor and teacher at a university. He talks about how creation and science can agree with each other and what he discovered as a scientist, and as he became a Christian, what he discovered. His testimony is great. Hugh Ross has several videos out there, and he actually debates Christianity and science with some of the top physicists in the world at universities. They do public debates, and he usually slays them, and well respected in that community. So you'll probably hear some terms and some words you've never heard before unless you're big into science and physics and quantum mechanics. But just flow with it and know that there are smart people who believe. So one of the things I wanted to mention is quantum physics is just now catching up with Scripture, and it is able to explain things like Jesus being able to eat substance and then walk through walls, glorified bodies, portal travel between a heavenly sphere and here. Different dimensions are mentioned. In other words, we know about 4 dimensions, the 3 dimensions that we can see and touch, 4th dimension being time. One of the things that Einstein got frustrated about was he could never finish some of his calculations because he only had 4 dimensions to work with, and then after he died, some of the people who he mentored said, let's just create additional dimensions, and some of those problems began to be solved with additional dimensions. And I think right now science believes that there's about 10, maybe 11 dimensions, and obviously Jesus can operate on all of those dimensions, but we are only operating in about 4, so that means there's at least 6 that we can't see that are just as real and are operating right now. 4 are, well, there's 3 dimensions, which are, if it was 2 dimensions, it would just be a 2-dimensional picture, it's flat. 3-dimension means you've got the perception, and we can touch and taste that. We live in a 3-dimensional world, but then the 4th dimension would be time. So then there. Well, it's just the fact that you have that. We exist in a 3-dimensional world. We exist as. If we didn't exist in a 3-dimensional world, we would just be flat stick people walking around. We wouldn't. Yeah. So the world isn't flat. It's round. It's a sphere. That's a 3-dimensional world.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So. When we talk about things like glorified bodies and some of the things that are mentioned in Scripture that seem like they're too good to be true and that we can't explain, and about angelic beings and heavenly realms, New Jerusalem, it starts to make sense when you study quantum mechanics. And actually some quantum physicists have actually committed suicide when they learn the truth that they can't explain anything other than that God is real and God is true, and that science has begun to explain those things. They don't know how to deal with it, and they end their life. They don't think it's worth living, and they can't believe in a God. So I'm going to play this video. It's about 40 minutes long. It's by Hugh Ross, called An Astronomer's Quest, and then I've got another video to show you by Chuck Missler. Again, some of this is going to be a little dry, but stay with it because what he's saying is very, very powerful. Especially his testimony, not knowing any Christians, growing up in Canada, and coming to these conclusions through science instead of through the church. I thought it's very unique. No, Hugh Ross. Hugh Ross. This giant hadron collider, and they're taking particles and they are mashing them together to form huge energy burst. What they're trying to prove is that dark energy and dark matter actually exist, and that's when you may have heard news articles saying they were looking for the God particle. They're trying to prove or disprove the Big Bang Theory that it's true by proving that dark matter and dark energy exist, wormholes and things like that. So what people are concerned about is that CERN is they're taking this machine and they're upping the power so much, and they're colliding these things that the scientists there have said, we don't really know what's going to happen when we get it up to full speed. Some scientists believe that they could actually see a portal, another a way to get to another universe, which sounds like a bunch of scientific hocus pocus, but you can watch it, and it's not from conspiracy theorists. We're not talking about Alex Jones and InfoWars. We're talking about the actual people who work there saying, we really don't know what to expect when we get up to full speed. Stephen Hawking has told them, and a warning says, don't do this. We don't know what's going to happen. And if you form a black hole, if you form that with the power that you've got, it's never been done before. It's kind of dangerous to do it. They're doing it anyway. What I think is very interesting is that they're going to power this thing up. They have it powered up now, and it's continually running underground in Switzerland in a rotation speed, and it's getting faster and faster. And they're going to amp it up. They're going to get it to its full power that it's never reached before. I bet you can't guess what day they're going to get it up to full power. September 23rd.
I'd seen it on Facebook, and it was coming in from prophecy preachers talking about it, and talking about the first time I even heard it.
So we don't understand a lot about science. They do, but this stuff he's talking about, dark energy and dark matter, that's what they're trying to prove with CERN right now. And it's really interesting. If you go to Google Maps and you type in the gates of hell into Google Maps, it takes you to CERN. It takes you to that place in Switzerland. I don't know how that happens, but it does. That's a conspiracy theory. There's other references here in your documentation, but I think you guys have been pummeled enough today with mental stuff. But that was the last thing I wanted to show you. During Sunday school this Sunday, I think I'll probably get into the tithing thing this Sunday morning. And then I've got something else I wanted to talk about depression. We can talk about that, or we can talk about more evangelism and more exercises. It's up to the class what they want to do. But I want to thank everybody for coming to this class and being the hardcore warriors that you've been and what you've done. I mean, it's been a real privilege to speak to you about this stuff. I hope that you get as much out of it as I got teaching it to you. We'll get these videos up online within the next 2 to 3 days that we'll have everything, and I'll have links to all the student guides on the videos. Like if you look at the video and you see the description, I'll have a link to the student outlines. If you guys have any other questions, you know how to reach me. You've got either my phone number through my mom or my email address. It's all out there. But I think you guys are ready. You're ready to hit the street. You're ready to do the commandments. You know what you're supposed to do. You know how to renew your mind. You just got to get out there and just start doing it. And I think you're ready. You just got to go out there and start.